What's up, guys? I got a new delivery in the mail, and we're gonna unbox it together. Check it out. Alright. Oh, it's heavy. Let's take it inside. Alright, come and take a look. We have here the Grizzly Industrial heavy-duty 1-inch drive air impact wrench. And I've also got a set of 1-inch drive, this is the adapter set, so that I can run my other sockets with this wrench. So we'll get into that later. Let's take a look at this thing though. Oh, I can't even lift it with one hand. Wow! The shipping weight was labeled as 36 pounds, but I think it feels like a little more than that. Instructions we'll get into. Packaging. Here's our handle and our air fitting for a gigantic air hose. Pull this out. Get a hold of it here. Wow! That is heavy. Alright. Here it is. Alright, come and take a look. We have here the Grizzly Industrial heavy-duty 1-inch drive air impact wrench. And I've also got a set of 1-inch drive, this is the adapter set, so that I can run my other sockets with this wrench. So we'll get into that later. Let's take a look at this thing though. Oh, I can't even lift it with one hand. Wow! The shipping weight was labeled as 36 pounds, but I think it feels like a little more than that. Instructions we'll get into. Packaging. Here's our handle and our air fitting for a gigantic air hose. Pull this out. Get a hold of it here. Wow! That is heavy. Alright. Here it is. Here's a look at the wrench all put together. So I decided to put the handle on sideways, so I'll be operating it from the side. So for example, the tire will be over here. Instead of having to stand in line with it, this seemed more comfortable, but you can put it on either way, like I said earlier. I've got to run up to the hardware store and pick up an adapter to get me from this massive air fitting down to the size that's going to fit my air couplers. Here's a look at the adapter set that also came with this. I had to purchase it separately, but it arrived at the same time, is what I mean. So we can go any number of impact sizes. We've got here 1/4 to 3/8, 3/8 to 1/4, 3/8 to half, half to 3/8, half to 3/4, 3/4 to half, 3/4 to 1, and then the one that we're worried about is the big one that gets us from our 1" down to our 3/4, because I do have a 3/4" socket set, and this whole set actually costs the same as what a single 1.5" 1" drive socket would have cost. So I thought it'd be better to be able to run all of my non-impact sockets in the 3/4 drive than to run one single socket just for my lug nuts on the truck, is basically why I got this. But I'm going to run uptown to the hardware store and get that figured out, and I'll show you what we came up with in just a second. Here's what we've got. The heater just kicked on also, so it's going to be a little noisy. Here's just your standard, they call it 1/4" air fitting, even though it's pipe thread, so all of that stuff measures small, if you know what I mean. So it's called a 1/4", but it's actually nearly a 1/2" in diameter. And then we have one adapter from what is actually nearly an inch, but they call it 1/2" pipe. So let me unthread this. What we're going to do is put some Teflon tape on this, tighten it down in there, Teflon tape on this, and then I've got a test. I'm going to oil it up and take it out to the truck, because we were trying to get the lug nuts off the truck, and we had, I would bet, nearly a 4-foot bar, whatever the length of my jack handle is. We had that on the end of a 3/4" drive wrench and could not budge them. So this will be a good test. This screw is labeled oil, and typically I would just add some oil in the air inlet, a few drops before each time that I use it. But if there's a specific spot that they want the oil, you should definitely follow that. So I've got the appropriate amount of tape on there now, got it nice and tight, and there are no leaks. So let's just turn this trigger far to the clockwise direction, far to the right, and I'm going to gently pull the trigger and see which direction it spins. Here we go, first time together. Wow! That is like a chainsaw. That has some power. So that is our reverse direction. If you can see, it's turning towards us. But we've got to remember, on the truck, some of those lug nuts are reverse threaded. So now I'm going to turn to the next click, which should be just less power, reverse. Yep, we'll do one more click. That's probably nearly our lowest power, reverse. One more click. Now we're going forwards. So that's probably our low power forward. And then we have 2 more clicks in that direction. Farthest that way is probably our high power forward. So let's open up the door, head out to the truck, and we'll set up our adapter for our 3/4 to 1 inch drive, and we need an 1.5 inch socket for our truck lug nuts. So let's run over here and grab that. I've got this 3/4 inch drive set. I have a customer that had this in a truck that they bought and didn't think they would ever use it, and I am thrilled to have it. It's not a name brand or anything, but I don't care. It's a really nice set to have. So we've got our 1.5 inch 3/4 drive socket, our new adapter set, and we've got to pull out our 1 inch to 3/4 adapter here. I'm going to line up, we're not using the pin detent, but I'm just going to line those up just because. And I'm sure that's going to be a tight, it sure is. That ring locks really well. So I'm either going to need 2 hands or even like a mallet to knock that on there. That's a good thing though. You wouldn't want it to fly off and strip something out. I'll set you guys here. Hopefully that stays. There, that's going to be better. Alright. There we go. And now our socket. So that's really a pretty minor, it's not like I've got 10 reducers stepping down to like a 1/4 inch drive socket. I think this socket should be able to handle it. If not, then I'm wrong and I need to get a 1 inch drive, 1.5 inch impact socket. But we'll see what happens. So we're gonna run out and try this on the truck. Here we go. First time. Okay guys, here's what I came up with, and I am still going to pick up, I think, a 1/2 inch air hose so that I can actually run the full size 1/2 inch connections. But I've improved things a little bit. I went, instead of from our typical 1/4 inch to 1/4 inch, I've stepped it up to a 3/8, which is the biggest size they had in town at the moment. So I have here a 3/8 air coupler, male to female, and then I just have the adapters from our 3/8 hose up to that, which it says 3/8 hose, but it actually uses 1/4 inch fittings, which is typical. So it's 1/4 to 3/8, and then 3/8 up to our 1/2. So we have a lot smaller restriction than we did, and I've already tried it on one, and it worked, no problem. So let me set you guys up and show you what it looks like. Alright. Catch up here. We are using a ton of air for what my compressor 30 gallons can handle. So 1 second, I'll fast forward this part.